Welcome to another episode of Heroes and Droids, your guide to movies and TV shows about superheroes, sci-fi, Disney in action, from Marvel to DC, from Star Wars to Star Trek, from James Bond to the Fast and the Furious. We'll review theatrical films and streaming delights you care about most. And tonight we have a very special episode where we are going to count down the 10 favorite scenes from The Mandalorian Season 2. Because we loved it, and there was an insane amount of stuff going on, more than 10 things. So knocking them down to 10 is tough. So look for some honorable mentions at the end of the show. So let me introduce the crew first, starting off with Chris Slattery, also known as the Slat Man. How you doing, sir?
Oh, fantastic. I wish we had time to talk about 20 moments, because we could have easily gone to 30 or 40 or 50.
Just talk about the beginning and talk about every moment until the end, right?
You know, just criticize and just sit there and dive deep and be like, did you see the wrinkle on that guy's sweater at 1432?
The wrinkle, the Star Wars wrinkle. You know, we'll get to that at the end. The pants guy almost made it. I wanted to do a surprise 11 with the pants guy, but we're not going to do it. We just spoiled that right now. All right. Also joining us is podcasting Rockstar and international cosplay queen Vanessa Thompson. How you doing?
Good. I'm excited to kind of relive the season 2 of Mando.
Yes, and hang around to the end of the show because we have a couple of other announcements about Mandalorian to talk about, and maybe other Disney Plus stuff that we want to chat about. So stick around for that. Also joining us is award-winning filmmaker and Star Wars fanatic, Christopher G. Moore. He is such a fanatic, he just recently returned from the Galaxy's Edge.
Yes, I flew to Galaxy's Edge.
And boy,
I know. In my COVID tank, my COVID back to tank, so I don't catch any germs. But yeah, I had a big birthday, so I went to Galaxy's Edge and got me a lightsaber.
Nice.
Well, congratulations, happy birthday, happy New Year to everybody. Although the first week, well, that screwed up. Let's see what the rest of the year brings.
I want to return 2021. I did the 7-day trial and I don't like it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, let's do our countdown at number 10. Might be the scariest episode of Mandalorian thus far, and we're talking about the Ice Spiders chased Din Djarin, Grogu, and the passenger, Frog Lady, back to the Razor's Crest. Christopher, we love horror films, and we've always talked about Star Wars doing a horror film. This damn well near did it, right?
This is the closest episode we've had, or probably in any Star Wars project where they've made something that's a full-on horror film. I mean, this is like, there's been a lot of shadows of like Alien and Aliens, and this is full-on sci-fi horror where you're just stressing out, like, how are Din and Grogu and Frog Lady going to get to the ship? Even when they're in the ship, they like, are they going to die in the ship? So yeah, it's scary. I don't like spiders in general. So if they're big ass spiders, I definitely don't want them. You don't really have much where to hide because it's freezing outside. So so this is a scary episode. I want to see more horror like this in the Star Wars universe. Please do that.
I hope they explore other genres, because they've been mostly hanging in the the Western kind of zone. So that it was fun to kind of branch out. I think they did a lot of that. All right, up next. Yes.
Oh, sorry. They have a lot of horror-esque stories from Legends that they could pull from.
Ooh. Mm-hmm. All right, up next is, we called this, ironically, I think we called it the Tarantino dialogue scene. This is when Imperial Officer Valen Hess cornered Din Djarin and Mayfeld in the barracks, right? And I guess this would be, what would this be? Where they were,
the mess hall, I think.
The mess hall. and it was for what was basically a dialogue scene was incredibly intense. And Slatman, you definitely wanted to have this on the list, right?
Yeah, it really stood out to me. It was one of the best acted, like, tense moments, I feel like, in the entire series, I would say. And it was all done by the little things that the actors were doing with, like, not just saying the words, but the actions that they were doing with their eyes, the actions that, like, the moments where Din's like looking at Mayfield like, no, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, and Mayfield's looking at him like, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. Like, it's such a great scene, and it's just it screams the bar scene from Inglorious Bastards, and or the intro scene from Inglorious Bastards. It just, I loved it. I loved it, and I pushed so hard for it to be in here, and I'm so happy it's here.
If only he asked for a glass of a blue milk, it would have been full on Inglorious Bastards.
Yeah, oh my gosh, it would have, wouldn't it? All right, up next is, gosh, this was an incredible chase scene. It's called the Juggernaut. Oh, we're come back here, and Mayfield and Mando in a trooper armor of some sort are basically attacked by pirates, and this was an incredibly tense scene. Vanessa, you like this episode, right?
Oh yeah, Mayfield's entire story arc is my favorite scene. he's just so good, and in this, their banter back and forth, and watching Din fight on the top of this of what do they call the Juggernaut? Yeah,
Juggernaut. Yeah.
Oh man, with those bombs exploding, and my favorite part is when he like gets back up and he sees him coming, he dusts himself off, and he gets ready to fight again right before they get rescued. You know, that was awesome.
Yeah, and they get rescued by TIE fighters, which was really an interesting change. Yeah, flip of the coin, right? Let's say Christopher G. Moore. Did you like that aspect of it?
Well, I think that's, the thing is, most of the Star Wars universe, we just see it from we see the good guys as being, the rebels, and so we always see it from their perspective. But to see it from the bad guys' perspective and see them elated and celebrating the same way the rebels, it just sort of shows you how it's the same side, different sides of the same coin. That they think they're in the right as well, and there's even there's even, I think that there was like the whole thing about you ever seen like Kevin Smith's Clerks, where they joke about all the people on the Death Star who died, like normal people just working on the Death Star.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people who are just feeding their families by working with the Empire or the New Republic or any of these type of things. And so, yeah, it's for me, it's kind of cool because you never see that. And for me, it's cool because I always love the bad guys.
Yeah.
So to see them cheering for TIE fighters and like, yay, you brought these explosive canisters to us so you can blow up later. So yeah, I think, I think that's the cool thing about it, is just showing different sides of this universe, that sometimes we're sort of in a gray area. Maybe the people that are bad guys aren't so bad, and sometimes the good guys aren't so good. So,
and this was the perfect episode to explore that. All right, up at number 7. Yes, bo-katan Kryze and Axe Woves and Koska Reeds. Oh my gosh, I can't pronounce any of them. Are joined by Din Djarin as they stormed a Gazanthi cruiser. Vanessa, you this was your addition to the list. It had to be on here. It is one of the great moments. Great characters introduction, and great action. Yes.
Absolutely. And that moment when Bo takes off her helmet and it just completely throws Din for a loop because he doesn't know what's going on. That just sets the tone for the rest of the episode of him trying to figure out these other Mandalorians, but also having to work side by side with them. And some of the shots of them moving forward in formation through that ship as they're taking it over are phenomenal. The explosions, the angles you're seeing things from, it's just so badass and cool the way they do that. And one of my favorite comedic moments is when they have them all locked in the control room.
No, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, they open the door. Awesome.
Yeah, we're locked up in the hangar bay. Where?
And then we can't forget the "for the Empire" moment.
Well, that was actually
That
really
was
awesome, though, wasn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, up next at number 6, the Dark Troopers made their appearance this season, and we saw them a couple times, but they're going to be on the list more than once. But this particular battle, Din Djarin battles a Dark Trooper one-on-one with a whole gaggle of them around behind the door trying to get through, and nearly gets his ass kicked, but does not. He wins the day. Christopher G. Moore. I remember you hooting and hollering about this particular scene.
Yeah, and I kind of wish Moff Gideon was like in a DJ booth when you hear that Skrillex mix coming up. You know, it's like
So cool.
And I kind of wanted one of the Dark Troopers to like break dance in the middle of fighting or
my God.
something.
Yes.
Somebody do that if you can animate stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's such a badass fight because it's almost like a Terminator fight here.
You're right.
Because you know, no matter what he's throwing at this thing, it's not doing anything. Although there's some really cool moves, I think. Just him trying to fight it and stuff, and then he's using his little what are they called? Is it whistlers or whatever those things are? And then he's like shoots fire into it and doesn't, and then he just realized, oh, okay, I got this Beskar spear. The most manual way of fighting, becomes the best way to fight against these things because that's the only thing that's going to go against that armor. So, and just seeing those red eyes in it, which kind of reminds me of the Maximilian robot from the Black Hole.
I knew you were going there.
As somebody who's kind of a big fan of that when I was a kid, my favorite part was the robot, and that head all reminds me of the Maximilian head. And it's kind of cool actually if you see the behind the scenes stuff because they actually had guys wearing those outfits. So those weren't like primarily CGI. They was like actually guys in outfits.
Oh wow,
moving around and stuff. So that's why some of the movements seem kind of realistic because it's not all CGI.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's such a bad. I mean, and we'll get to some other stuff, but like, would you have so many badass action scenes in like just one episode? And it's just one.
Look, he's on fire in the bottom and he's still fighting.
I know he's just like it's just a fire wound.
Well, those the two bottom images that we're showing there are some of the more interesting moments. One is Mando getting his head beat into the wall, and then of course the Dark Trooper on fire, which just visually it's so striking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's they had people doing a whole TikTok meme of just like doing the doom, doom, doom.
Yeah, that's right.
Just breaking against the wall.
All right. Well, at number 5, in the first episode, we got Cobb Vanth, and he joined Din Djarin to defeat the Crate Dragon. And this Slatman, this was your moment that you needed to be on this list as well. It set the tone, it set expectation,
and it started the season off with a bang.
In many ways, and it was incredible. The realization of this giant Crate Dragon is, I think, more than anybody expected. What you said?
Yeah, it kind of blew all expectations out of the water. And man, I want a Star Wars kaiju film now.
Ooh,
that could happen.
That would be fun. I do have to
featuring space whales.
Yeah,
yeah.
Monster Planet.
One of my favorite things, though, is the minute Cobb Vanth takes off his helmet and reveals that it's Timothy Oliphant.
Yeah,
that is just perfect. Tied into this battle they have. Awesome.
There's so much in this episode. We get the Tusken Raiders. We get some background into them.
Oh, cool.
We get the return of Boba Fett's armor. What a great moment! There's just so much
fodder.
Yeah. Oh, we get Bantha fodder. There's a lot of rough going on. And, man,
we get the little
Oh, that's right.
The first use of the Boba Fett rocket too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's well. This is the Star Tremors episode
Star Tremors.
or Star
Oh
Jaws.
my gosh, you're not
Hard
It's definitely Tremors.
But yeah, it's
face. It even looks like.
yeah.
but and I think again the what they do with this show, they take little small references and turn it into something badass. This crate dragon is the bones in the first film, New Hope. When C-3PO are walking through the desert, you see this long, big thing, and Jon Favreau and them like, well, let's see what this thing did. How was this thing when it, if it, when it existed, when it was alive, and they base it off of that. And there's some really cool stuff behind the scenes stuff about how the creation of it, how they, at first they made it smaller, and they're like, no, we need to make it bigger. And for it to, instead of shooting fire, it shoots acid. I mean, there's like so many great aspects of it, especially when it comes out of that mountaintop and whirls around it like a freaking snake. It's oh man, for this to be the first episode, and you're like, how can we go up from here? And Jon Favreau and Filoni's like, hold my blue milk.
And on top of that, they had a great like moment at the end where reference to some of the Star Wars games with the giant crate dragon pearl. Yeah,
That they find so gross.
A lot of hidden references everywhere in this episode. Not to mention the final scene, but we'll talk more about that later, I think. All right, up next at number 4. All right, a lot of this. Okay, we ended last season with Moff Gideon revealing he had the dark saber. At the end of this season, we get to see Din Djarin face off against Moff Gideon in a battle. What was it? Beskar armor and blades against the Darksaber.
Mm-hmm.
This was incredible.
it was badass.
Get that saber away from Grogu.
Oh, no kidding. And, what treachery, right? You thought he had him like, okay, take Grogu, and he turns on him. Oh, man.
One of the things I really, really loved about this fight, too, was Moff Gideon, has this presence, and you imagine he's going to fight with a certain style. And just to think, the moment that you pair him against someone who's clearly a better fighter than him, and the battle that then ensued was just so much fun to watch. And then it gave us that moment where Mando has the Darksaber.
Yeah, and doesn't he do that fancy kick the thing move?
Yeah, because he knocks it back
Behind him.
And it comes back at him. And I mean, I guess the main thing is like you have Moff Gideon, who's so like full of himself and egotistical, but he realizes I have this mega weapon that I really don't need to know how to use. I just need to put it in a way to cut somebody, like when he's cutting into the wall and stuff, because it's pretty much undefeatable to some degree against a lot of people.
But at the same time, he seemed kind of proficient enough in it.
Yeah, confident enough. Yeah,
he was confident enough, and he wasn't a total idiot. But
just
handoff,
right?
But at the same time, you also realize that Beskar, well, even though it's pretty much undefeatable, you can see it's turning red when you hold it against it. So maybe it kind of melts it down. If it's held to it too long.
Yeah, and it does leave us. It's a crucial moment for the series as well, because it leaves Din Djarin with the Darksaber as he defeats him, and that's going to put him up against bo-katan, I would imagine, for season 3. We'll do more of that. More about that at the end of this episode. All right, let's keep going. At number 3 is, somebody do a little bit of a drum roll there, is Ahsoka Tano. We could just kind of say anything with her, but basically battling Magistrate Morgan Elsbeth to liberate the city of Caliban. Basically, I think from the very beginning, where she cuts the bell in half there in the center image, straight up to the battle. Wow. Yes, I'm glad we have an Ahsoka series coming, because I can't get enough of this character. It's going to be awesome.
I think my favorite part about the battle with the Magistrate is how they were both toying with each other, and they were both testing each other's combat skills throughout the entire fight. And then as soon as the magistrate gets rid of one of Ahsoka's lightsabers, you see Ahsoka go into the battle stance that she normally uses, the lightsaber form she normally uses when she was fighting in the Clone Wars, and then she just kind of kicks the magistrate's ass within like a couple seconds, and it just goes to show how much respect that Ahsoka had to, to try and do it as a fair fight rather than just embracing the Force and just kind of overwhelming her within like 2 seconds. And it was very samurai inspired too.
Oh, very much so. But the moment after the bell, because it falls off to the street and she jumps down after it and walks into the city, that's a very Western samurai blend move as she, just gets ready to conquer the city, just avoiding and evading and all the trooper. They're not troopers. What are they? They're like, what were they that she was battling there a lot? Because they were like,
I thought they were like mercenaries.
Yeah, mercenaries and robot-y things. Sorry.
Because there were like
I forgot the number
droids, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a great scene. Great scene. And there's a lot in this episode. Could have had 10 almost to itself.
Yeah, just with a
Well, with Star Wars being an initial love letter to Akira Kurosawa cinema, this was essentially squeezing all of that Akira goodness, into one episode. This was pure samurai cinema, and they did an amazing job with it.
Yeah, look at that expression in that top image. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that and just the fight choreography,
Yeah.
how they sort of put it in the same way that you saw her do that in the Clone Wars, I think just shows the eye to attention. Of course, Dave Filoni directed this, so it shows his love for the character.
Definitely. All right, at number 2, a million fanboys squealed as Boba Fett returns wearing the iconic armor. Yes. From the moment we saw Slave One zoom into view, and then we get the conversation with Boba Fett, in his Tusken Raider outfit, and eventually he gets the armor back, and that I'm getting goose pimples on my goose pimples right now thinking about it, because it's the realization of a character that we've all loved that never quite got his due.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I think that's the main thing. I think, we had this character who was like a small part of the original trilogy that people sort of, because of the mystery surrounding him, he became this sort of iconic character that we wanted, that sort of like, Mr. Magoo at the very end of Return of the Jedi, and got, slapsticked into a Sarlacc pit. And so to sort of see this badass who's supposedly one of the best bounty hunters in the universe, and see his full potential, even if it's dad bod potential, seeing his full potential, and he's like kicking ass, and taking names and
oh, he's not taking much names.
Well, he's not mentioning names. He's just like, I'm chewing bubble gum and not watching explosions behind me, and I'm all out of bubble gum.
And then the best part is when he fired the rocket and he hit the one ship, and the ship like collides into the second ship, and everyone's like, "Oh, nice shot!" And he's like, "I was aiming for the other one."
At least he was honest.
Yes, and of course the casting is fantastic. Going back to the prequels, yeah.
Well, that in his how they incorporated his, I think it's Maori or whatever, his New Zealand upbringing. Yeah. Some of his that stuff that you see like The Rock do. Mm-hmm. Some of those moves into it, because they saw him, I guess, off when he wasn't acting, doing that offset, and it's like, let's incorporate that into your fighting style, and I think that just made it even more badass.
It sure did. It was a great moment, and the scene at the top there where the stormtrooper turns around and Boba Fett rises up on that rock, and it's just Oh my God, that was just a great moment. That was the moment I wanted. I could have put this personally at number one. I was monumentally outnumbered, outvoted for what we did do with number one, which everybody here knows, everybody listening can guess. That's right. Luke Skywalker answers Grue-Crew's call, single-handedly destroying the Dark Troopers. In a moment that made fanboy hearts swell. And I didn't think I heard that. I didn't think they could pull it off, but holy crap, they did.
And he got his own hallway scene, father like son.
Yes.
And arguably just as badass.
Well, I mean, George Lucas always talked about like that history sort of echoes itself, and that's why you see a lot of the, repetition in certain things in the family and events and stuff. And so this is no different, because when Rogue One came out, the big talk was just that whole hallway scene with Darth Vader, during his prime. And then you see basically Luke during his prime, where he's had a little bit of time to study the Jedi arts and stuff, and going through there like the badass that, we only got to see small elements of.
I read a comparison of this to Anakin coming through for Order 66 and coming through and everything. And when he gets to where the younglings are, he leaves his hood on and everything. But when Luke gets to where everyone is, he removes his hood, which is kind of like, the light side, the dark side, what he wants to show compared to what Anakin didn't want to show. And it's really just, it's so layered, like you're saying, it repeats itself. Everything's so layered in this. And then having Luke come back and be the one to train Grogu. And I'll say it again. I really felt like it was a facepalm moment when I saw him, because it was like, duh, who else?
Who else? Well, as soon as we saw the X-Wing fly in, it's like,
one X-Wing?
Come on. It's like,
we're saved.
Are they really going to do it? Green lightsaber. Are they really? I still didn't believe it.
I kept thinking it was going to be M. Night and it'd be like Jar Jar Binks or somebody else. And they just, I was like, this is too on the nose.
I know.
I was like,
the glove. I was like, no, still aren't going to do it, are they?
Yeah. I know. I was like, I mean, I kind of figured there was going to be him, but I didn't know. I was like, until we see the face, I'm not putting the full bet on that.
Me too. Yeah.
Same way. But wow, they did it. They certainly did. And we spent 2-3 weeks trying to guess who it was going to be.
I mean, we had guesses going from freaking Mace Windu coming back from the dead to
we had our whole serial killer chart.
Yeah,
like red ribbon to different things, trying to let's figure out this mystery.
Christopher actually had Jar Jar Binks on the table at one point. So
hey,
it wasn't.
I don't put it through past anyone at this point.
Yeah,
I think if anybody could redeem Jar Jar Binks, these guys can. But I don't know.
We don't need it. We're good.
But I think it was fine. I think other than the plastic face Luke, I think other than that.
Well, I mean, they made it work though. I was a little.
It was okay. I think it's one of those things. After I watched it again, it didn't bother me as much. I mean, not that it bothered me. I still cried both times. Let me just say that I have a videotape of the second time I did it where I was crying my eyes out, and I was like, "Man, what is wrong with me?" But yeah, it's still a cool moment no matter how you look at it, and just to see that character return
in such a great way. And
it leads up to
and seeing how easily he took out the Dark Troopers, that it took every little bit of Mando's willpower to take out one.
What he crushes him like a Pepsi can. I literally I cheered in my living room like the geeky person that I am. I was like, so I mean, and even you talk about reflections of Anakin. There's a part where he takes his lightsaber behind him and reflects a laser bolt, just like Anakin did, I think, in one of the prequels. So Yeah, it's just he's just like, and he just goes through him, like cuts through him like butter. You know, he's just like, there's that one part where he like leaves him half of one on the wall. I mean, it's like
Pretty great.
nothing. It's like they might as well have been like younglings. I hate to say that, but I mean, yeah, it was, these robots were just nothing to him. It's
Lucas,
like, oh,
Lucas always said that post Return of the Jedi, Luke was always meant to be the most powerful Jedi, and now we finally got to see that.
Yeah, I know. I love it. I love it.
I hope we get to see more. Speaking to that, we have some announcements to make about future episodes. And we're also, each of us has an honorable mention that we're going to get into after the announcements. But before we do all that, if you're listening this far, first, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed our top 10. Stick around for our honorable mentions. You probably are guessing the ones that all of the things you're seeing are probably part of it. Hit the subscribe button. That we would love if you did that. That would help others find us. Hit the like button. Leave us some comments. Hit the bell if you want to be reminded about future episodes. All right, we're next. Okay, so next week we're going to start transitioning from Star Wars to Marvel as WandaVision lands on Disney Plus. But that does not mean we're done with Star Wars, because we have a couple episodes coming up. When we were doing this, we realized that there were so many Grogu moments, so many child moments, so many Baby Yoda moments that we're going to do a top 10 moments that just are about Grogu and Baby Yoda. Ear flapping, egg eating, all kinds of things. We're going to talk about them all. It's going to be a really fun, adorable episode. So stick around for that. And then we're going to do. Don't cry. And then we're going to do our predictions. We're going to kind of look at what season 3 maybe, or the future of Star Wars on Disney Plus in and of itself. So that's going to be fun. So those are coming in the coming weeks, as we're also doing WandaVision. So check us out. All right, guys. Like I said, there were so many moments. It was easy for us to come up with honorable mentions. We're each going to talk about our honorable mention here, and we're going to start off with Slatman. Slatman, what was your honorable mention?
The mention of Thrawn.
Okay. You nailed it down to one sentence. That's awesome. That was the definition of a name drop, and won everybody.
It's a name drop that made every Star Wars fan just kind of start cheering when they heard it. Whether they've read, okay, anyone who knows of Thrawn.
I was going to say, you're talking about serious Star Wars fans, not casual Star Wars fans that watch the movies and that's it. You've got to watch the tunes, and you got to read some books, right?
Yeah, whether you've read the old Heir to the Empire trilogy, which was the introduction of Thrawn, whether you've read some of the other Legends books or the new Legends or the new canon books, which talks about Thrawn's involvement in the Empire before A New Hope, and his involvement as a in the Clone Wars as a Republic officer. He's such an amazing character in Star Wars lore, and he's such a badass. He's such a great villain, and Timothy Zahn, I think his name is, has written the new books in such a way that they've made given the character so much depth and made him not just a one-dimensional villain like we see in a lot of media. And it's so exciting to see that he's going to come back from the Uncharted Worlds, because spoilers for Rebels, he was in it and Ezra kind of took him away.
Yeah, we are going to be talking more about Grand Admiral Thrawn, right?
Yeah, Grand Admiral Thrawn.
In the coming weeks when we start doing our looking forward episode. All right, up next, Vanessa, you picked an all-girl scene.
I did. My honorable mention is that badass moment when we get Bo-Katan, Casca Reeves, Cara Dune, and Fennec Shand just busting in on that ship, kind of clearing a way for Din and Bo trying to get to that dark saber, and the way they're just murking people, and the way that Bo and Casca jump off the sides of that bridge and then fly back up with their packs and just murk all these people. It was just so badass. And some of my favorite Cara Dune moments are in that, like when her gun is jamming and she's fighting with her gun and she takes the gun and just starts beating people. That was such a great movement. I just love to see her use those real guns of hers on people.
There you go, the real guns.
That's right.
What was that thing she said, Christopher? What was it?
Oh, Dank. No,
Yeah.
Son of a mud scuffer.
Yeah, son of a
Thanks, Derek.
Dank Ferrick. Mud scuffer.
Yeah, that was just such a powerful scene.
Speaking of powerful scenes, maybe not in the strength scene, but in the emotional scene. Christopher, what is
I cried.
Oh, we all did. What was your favorite scene, Christopher? Your honorable mention? Oh.
Let me pet my daddy.
I'm gonna cry thinking about it.
That scene, which there was somebody on Facebook that was making fun of people saying you cried over a puppet. I think that's the strength of this series, that they could have this character who's like a animatronic and make it feel like a real child. That you have that swelling of music, that beautiful music they played, and you see that moment where he's saying goodbye to Grogu, and you're like, you got to take the helmet off, and he takes the helmet off, and then you see that moment where Grogu's eyes like open up, and he's almost like enchanted or entranced looking at Din Djarin, and then when he reaches out and touches his cheek, oh man, it's just so heartbreaking, and then and just Din Djarin just standing there, just doesn't even care anymore about not having his helmet on. He's just,
don't be afraid.
Yeah, and
it has such layered meaning across the board, so it's
yeah,
emotions, and it's incredible.
And the first time I watched it, I cried like a baby, and then the second time I was like, like you think you've watched it one time and you'll be okay, and I was like, I was like, my eyes were like that dam and that one episode with Mayfield.
Not okay.
Yeah, so it was really sad. But let me say, I gotta say, a runner-up scene.
Oh, you sneaky bastard!
I don't know what your scene. Actually, I don't know what your scene is. I'll mention it after yours because I can't remember.
Mine. Okay, that's
Let's
cool.
go to yours.
All right, my scene is the stinger, the Book of Boba Fett. That was. I guess I'm a Boba Fett fan. When he walks in there and shoots. What is that character's name? He's all bloated up.
Oh, as I call him, Thick Boy Bib Fortuna.
Oh my god! And
that's my runner-up. Is that the stinger scene? Mainly because of Bib Fortuna. Because of
becoming Thick Fortuna.
Thick. He's not Twi'lek. He's Twi-thick.
You're fat shaming the poor guy, but
I'm not fat shaming. I'm like, no, he's thick.
He's thick.
THICC thick. He gets the women.
He gets
because of his thickness.
He gets what he wants.
Boba and Fennec.
He's like a thick rapper, He's like
he's large and in charge. All right, can we agree that Boba Fett sitting on the throne with Ferric Stan next to him drinking? What's a drink? It's not blue milk. It's something else. But
Spotchka.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the greatest shot?
Yeah.
Well, then she's this badass, like put her leg up. Let me swig some of this alcohol with my bud.
It was good, real good.
All right, so that was your honorable. That was
my. Yeah, I couldn't remember. But yeah, that's my runner up, mainly because of thick boy. Before doing that. I want to see he can't have any more adventures unless it's the afterlife, unless he's like a
my favorite comment on Reddit after the episode and the stinger was revealed was, wow, they really killed off an original trilogy character and absolutely no one cares.
No, nobody cared. Oh my god. Oh man. We did have one other moment we were discussing. We'll go ahead and mention it here real quick, and that was R2D2 coming
Oh, it just made me so happy to see R2.
It was perfect.
That was tears, definitely.
And it's just the fact that R2's memory hasn't been wiped on purpose. So he probably remembers Grogu from the Jedi Temple before Order 66.
And you got the Grogu knew him.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah.
It's just it was just Also, this makes seeing R2 in action in a Disney Plus show makes me excited for that droid show that with C-3PO and R2 that they announced this year.
Yep, that's going to be fun. More about that in a couple of weeks. All right. That's it. We could just keep going. Well, in fact, we are. We're going to do it with all the baby scenes, all the child scenes, all the Grogu scenes. Catch that in about a week. And then look for us to do WandaVision. And we're going to talk about our prediction for future episodes of Mandalorian and Disney Plus Star Wars. All right, guys. Yeah. No.
Do you have a throne?
Yeah. Oh, close enough.
Oh, no. All right. All those listening, there's some toy action going on. Leave it to your imagination there. All right. Slatman, Christopher, Vanessa, thank you for joining me.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Bye, dude.
Always fun.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.